All right, we're going to go to this next story about Nikki Haley. And this is important because this one transitions into the Ron DeSantis announcement. But we got to start off with this first, and you'll see why. First and foremost, if you have not had a chance to do so, smash that like button. That helps me with the algo. If you are new, don't forget to sub and share. Okay, if you have not heard, it appears that a story from Nikki Haley's past has resurfaced. It involves 3 people, Nikki and 2 other men. Now we're going to talk about this story, and then we're going to transition into the Tuesday New Hampshire primary race. And I'm going to tell you how this is all connected. First and foremost, we're going to go back in time. Some of you may not remember this, and some of you may cringe at the video because it's an old video. But apparently, when Nikki Haley was running for governor, I told you all these stories come back. Nikki Haley was running for governor. She was accused of having extramarital affair. Not 1, but 2. She denied it. But now those stories have resurfaced again. And now there are claims that she lied about those extramarital affairs. Now, why is this important? Because obviously Nikki Haley is running for president. She's running for president through the Republican Party, which claims to be about family values. And Nikki claims to care about family values. So let's go back to when that was first announced. And it was actually TYT. This is so old school. You guys are going to laugh at the video footage. But TYT, I remember when they announced this, when Nikki Haley was running for governor. And again, it is back in the news again. How will this affect her come this Tuesday in New Hampshire? Let's dig in.
Now we have a lobbyist. His name is Larry Marchant. And he was on Bauer's side. Bauer is running against Nikki Haley for governor of South Carolina, and he was raising money for Bauer, and all of a sudden he's popped out of the woodworks, as it were, to say, oh yeah, I also banged her. Now this seems a little random if you ask me, but first let's let the man speak, and then we'll come back and talk about it.
What happened was one time, one of those things, we'd gone to dinner, I had some drinks, and things happened, and that was it. It was one time only.
Physical relationship has been used a lot lately.
I spent the night with Miss Haley, and we had sexual relations.
Now, this is the lobbyist. So there was a blogger that accused her of an affair, and then there was this guy who was the lobbyist. So he was the second guy that reported extramarital affairs with Nikki.
We had sex. This may be the worst decision I ever made in my life. Only time will tell, but I know in my heart what happened, and she knows in her heart what happened. And I just felt like I needed to bring this out because I just don't know 10 years from now, if I look at myself in the mirror, why didn't you say anything? It's not a matter of why did you say something, Larry? It's why didn't you say? Well, we had several drinks, we went to dinner, we went to a couple of bars, we were with a lot of people, and it just happened. But it did. And, I know she was making some very, very strong statements about her relationship, and it bothered me.
Yeah, she has said that she's been 100% faithful to her husband.
Right.
So you're saying that is not true?
That is not true.
Oh no, we had sexual relations, okay? I don't want any innuendo here. First, we weren't worked up from hand love, and then all by the end of the night, we were in doggy style,
So this was reported. I know this is an old video. A lot of you are like, holy crap, that's jink. Yeah, this was 13 years ago when this was shared on YouTube, actually. But, so again, as I said, Nikki Haley denied that. But now there are claims that say that Nikki Haley was lying. Now, I don't look. I know some people, someone said in the chat, they said, I don't like Nikki Haley, but her private life is a thing between her husband and her. Not when you're running for office, is not. Not when you're running for president, it's not. They dig up everything that they can. But look at what was released recently from the Daily Mail. Now, this is interesting. It says Nikki Haley did cheat on husband Michael, had affairs with her comms consultant and a married South Carolina lobbyist before she became governor. Sworn affidavits and new witnesses claim. So there are new witnesses that have now come forward. And it says here, Nikki Haley, 51, denied claims she cheated on her husband, Michael, before she became South Carolina governor in 2010. Now, multiple GOP insiders tell Daily Mail that they were intimately aware of Haley's infidelity at the time, saying it was totally out in the open. Communications consultant Will Folks, 49, and lobbyist Larry Marchant, 61, both signed affidavits in 2010 alleging they had a sexual relationship with Haley. So both of them signed affidavits. Again, if you're not out here running on family values and being a good Christian, oh boy. So let's jump in here. New witnesses have come forward telling Daily Mail that Haley's denials of two alleged 2008 affairs are false, and that the supposed trysts were brazen and widely known among South Carolina politicos. Woohoo! While the contents of the affidavits were described by a major news outlet at the time, this is the first time they have been published outside of Folks' own document, which he published on his blog. Haley, 51, denied at the time, saying she was 100% faithful to the father of her two children and husband of 28 years, Michael Haley, who was deployed in Afghanistan with the National Guard in 2012. So let me just say something real quick. Growing up as a military kid, listen, I got some stories for you, okay? Because a lot of these wives, when their husbands were deployed, a lot of these wives were sleeping around. I'm just keeping it real. They used to do this thing like for the wives, like especially like during Desert Storm and stuff like that. The wives used to get together and they would do like potlucks and stuff. So like if you ever saw that show Army Wives, that's actually pretty realistic. I will give that show credit for being pretty realistic in reference to what it's like being a military wife, etc. But I'm just going to keep it real with you. I may have been young, but I knew what was going on. Even during Operation Desert Storm, some of those military wives was cheating on their husbands while their husbands were gone. And then the husbands would come back. Next thing you know, the wife is pregnant. How you get pregnant? And I haven't been here. Just keeping it real. I'm just letting you know. So don't be surprised. Let's go on a little bit more. And again, here's the gentleman here. There's the guy that was in the video, the one you guys said had a bad toupee. And then this is the other gentleman here. So you have Larry Marchant and you have Will. This is Will Folks, right? So let's go on. Woo! But multiple GOP insiders told DailyMail.com that they were intimately aware of Haley's infidelity as a South Carolina lawmaker, including tales of steamy liaisons in the back of her Cadillac SUV, canoodling in her lover's laps at bars, and nights spent together in a Columbia, South Carolina duplex. So I went to the University of South Carolina. I graduated from the University of South Carolina, which is in Columbia, South Carolina. There's not a lot to do in Columbia, so things kind of get around. Like if a couple people saw you, especially if you are a public figure, and a couple of people saw you out and about with the man that was not your husband, those things don't stay quiet. Just keeping it real. Haley has not responded to Daily Mail's request for comment as of the time of publication. The news comes as Haley's campaign gears up for the January 23 New Hampshire primary, January 23rd, New Hampshire primary, a fight to regain second place in the race for the Republican presidential nominee after Ron DeSantis secured a 2-point margin over her with 21% of the vote in the Iowa caucus on Monday. Sources spoke to dailymail.com about Haley's alleged affairs after noticing her rosy references to her relationship with her husband, a major in the National Guard who is currently deployed in Africa on her presidential campaign trail. I'm doing this for my husband and his military brothers and sisters. They need to know their sacrifice matters. Her most recent campaign ad opens with photographs of Michael's 2013 homecoming from his first deployment to Afghanistan. So, I don't know, but Nikki. Now, let me tell you something else about Nikki, because we got to talk about what's happening Tuesday. Last night, when I was watching the Houston Ravens game, every commercial break, I saw Nikki Haley's ad. Every commercial break. So Nikki Haley has been running ads nonstop. I told you I'm hearing her ads also on sports radio, on the Sports Cup. I'm hearing her ads. And I just wanted to watch the game last night, you know, because I knew I was going to talk about Nikki's stuff today. So I was like, yesterday was like my day, politic free, and let's just focus on the game. No, in comes Nikki. She's everywhere. Now we fast forward to Tuesday, the New Hampshire primary, right around the corner. Something else that was supposed to happen has not happened, and I wonder how that's going to change this race. Did you know there was supposed to be another debate right before the New Hampshire primary? That didn't happen. Want to know why? Let's see. Emoji Dude actually brought this up. Listen to this.
There was supposed to be a debate tonight. Did you know that? But not anymore. ABC and CNN both canceled the Republican primary debates they had scheduled ahead of next Tuesday's primary in New Hampshire after Donald Trump and Nikki Haley declined to participate. Now, Trump also skipped the previous debates and nevertheless won Iowa with 51% of the vote. Nikki Haley has absolutely zero reason to do single combat with Ron DeSantis, who's way behind her in New Hampshire. The Granite State looks to be make or break for Haley's campaign. She's hoping independents will break for her. The latest tracking polls are not looking amazing. So, no more debates, no more drama. For once, a lack of drama might work to Trump's advantage. Jennifer Horn is the former chair of the New.
Okay, I just wanted you to hear that part there, that there was supposed to be a debate right before New Hampshire. Nikki Haley and Donald Trump, I guess, opted out to not do the debate. Now, that's interesting because I want to show you the polls. Because right now, and this is all going to change because of what just happened with Ron DeSantis. We'll get to that story as well. When we're looking at the polls, listen to this. New polls released this week show around 50% of likely New Hampshire Republican primary voters support Trump, while Haley remains stuck in the mid to high 30s. So Donald Trump is beating Nikki Haley in New Hampshire by double digits. That is higher than it was 2 weeks ago. After Donald Trump won the primary in Iowa, he has increased his lead against Nikki Haley in New Hampshire. Remember, before the Iowa results, they actually said this on the mainstream media that Nikki had a chance in New Hampshire because she was actually very close to Donald Trump in the polls. But after Donald Trump won Iowa, all that changed. So he's ahead of her double digits in New Hampshire. Now comes this question. In reference to the VP watch, would Donald Trump select Nikki Haley as vice president? Well, let's hear from him himself. So you don't have to guess anymore. Listen to what he says.
She is not presidential timber. Now, when I say that, that probably means that she's not going to be chosen as the vice president. You know, you can go. No, you can go and you can say certain things, you know, I don't like them and blah, 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 and this. But when you say certain things, it sort of takes them out of play, right? I can't say she's not of the timber to be a vice, and then say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to announce that I've picked Do you understand? But that's the way it is, okay? Tell it like it is. Tell it like it is. She is not.
So it doesn't sound like Donald Trump would consider Nikki Haley for his VP. So at this point, you have to ask, what is Nikki Haley's plan? And is this all just a waste of resources, time, and energy? Earlier on, everyone was saying, well, maybe she's actually just running for VP, right? But Donald Trump apparently does not want her for VP. In fact, when we talk about wasting time, energy, and resources, there was actually a Republican supporter, not a supporter of Nikki Haley, but a Republican voter who confronted Nikki Haley in person. And he just want to know, why are you wasting resources? Check this out.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you, Dean. Oh, I love that. We don't get out and vote on Tuesday. It's important. Good stuff.
Can I ask you just like a tiny question?
Yeah.
Do you think it's responsible for politicians to spend like $100 million in Iowa on TV ads, which go to mainly news stations that have lied to us for years, when there's homeless veterans out there that could use that money? When you didn't even come close to beating Trump, and you spent like $100 million in TV ad money?
Do you know my husband's a veteran?
That's fine, but I'm
He's
just
a combat
saying.
veteran.
I'm
And do
asking
you know that
you.
when the media doesn't tell the truth, the whole reason you put commercials on is to tell the truth because the media doesn't?
My point is, you're not going to beat Trump, and
You know
all
what?
of the money you're wasting could go to better causes.
I appreciate
that would make
that.
the Republican Party actually look better.
You know what? Last I saw, it was a democracy. So we're going to keep working for a good democracy. We're going to work for freedom, but thank you for your service.
Good.
So I got to just hand it to this guy right here in the green hat because, you know, that guy has some balls, right? Because like the goal of that guy just to come straight to her face, not behind her back, straight to her face and basically tell her, you know, you're not going to win. It just, he told her straight to her face, why are you wasting resources? You're not going to win. Now, just keep in mind, that was before the announcement that was made today. And we're going to transition into that in just a second. But first, I want to ask you again, what is the point of Nikki Haley's campaign? Remember, the establishment loves her. We have liberals out there cheering for Nikki. I can't make this up. I can't make it up. The donors love Nikki Haley. She seems to have the most ads from what I've seen so far. I can't get away from this woman on the screen or on the radio. So if the Democratic Party is okay with Nikki and the donors like Nikki, and then there's a segment of the Republican Party that likes Nikki, could they possibly change things so that Nikki Haley would be pushed to run as an independent? Could they push Nikki Haley to run on the no labels ticket? I'm just thinking of all different types of scenarios here because I warned you guys last year that 2024 was going to be wild. So we don't know what's going to happen. But we do know that Trump is beating her in New Hampshire by double digits. Will that change now, knowing what we know about Ron DeSantis' news? We'll have to wait and see. Landrew says, what will Trump win by in New Hampshire? We'll have to wait and see. I think everything's going to change now because of Ron DeSantis news. Thank you for the super chat, Alex. The Democrats are switching their votes to Haley. I'm telling you, it's wild. It's wild. The Oracle says Tim Scott endorsed Trump and will be named VP. That would be interesting. Tim Scott. Ninja Lives. I could see no label backing her with Mansion. That's what I'm getting at. And so you never know. Anything could change. Anything could change.